We got a special treat. I'm with Ted Sheftic. Ted, you've got a golf academy down here at Indian Creek. You come down here every year?
Indian River.
Indian River, pardon me. You come down here every year?
Yeah, 27 years.
And you're here for about a month?
A month.
And you've got like 90, 100 students coming through?
We got 90 people this year, yeah.
Amazing. So we have the honor of being able to, people are asking us about peak velocity and release factor. And Ted, you've been using BodiTrak now for over a year. You're one of the pioneers in understanding pressure mapping. Now, peak velocity, as we know, is the fastest lateral motion. I'm going to just circle it. It's on this graph right here. Underneath that is the release factor. And then I'm going to point to two numbers here. And the numbers are going to be in a minus and or a plus position. So, Ted, as we roll the tape here, and you can see that Jim sets up pretty much a little bit more on his lead side.
Yeah, like most tour players do.
Right, 50. Yeah, exactly. So he takes it back. It's going to go to his trail side. Look at the number right there where that blue arrow is. I'm going to circle it. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to point to it.
He's moving to his trail foot.
Because it's a minus.
Right.
Okay, so now we define transition when that white dot on that COP trace begins to move forward. It's now saying minus what there, Ted?
Minus 17.
The next frame, it goes to 14. So
he's already started forward.
So now at that particular point, then this becomes on a ball on the COP trace. That becomes the transition point.
Right.
And at transition, so if somebody said to you, Ted, how much weight does he have on the trail side of transition? What would you say?
I would say 79%.
79,
right there, he's got to have 79%.
Exactly.
Shows it.
Exactly. So now the tour stats say it's between 70 and 80.
Right, so he's between the tour players, 70 and 80 with an iron shot.
Right, and his peak velocity, let's go back to where peak velocity begins. And we're going to look, I'm going to get rid of everything so that we can declutter. I'm going to point down to it because it shows it on the, and it also shows it on this number. Okay, so, and then I'm going to advance it frame by frame. 79, 172. Next frame is at 197.
So right now he's got the most peak velocity and the most pressure into his lead foot.
Okay, cool. So
starting, and then from this point on, his lead foot and his trail foot is going to start pushing up because he's there. He's on that front foot. So now the rotation is going to start kicking in.
Right. So the lateral motion is the catalyst for the rotational forces.
Right.
And so he started his rotation right now.
Right. Right now, because he has so much pressure on the lead foot, he's starting his rotation automatically.
Okay, and just so our audience knows, I'm going to go back to 197, and it's really cool. So from that, the release factor is 169 milliseconds. And Ted, as you know, always this is a very simple tool. We just time when the peak velocity is just we time it to impact, and we call that the release factor.
Right. And
we take that number and we simply correlate that to a whole bunch of different shafts, and we know based on the testing that we've done that number 169 milliseconds that would equate to a heavy medium tip shaft. In other words, it's 150 and under. We feel is kind of like a super heavy tip.
Right.
This is sort of on the stiff side of medium.
And the nice thing about this is the teaching professional who's a fitter can use this to fit shafts.
Exactly. We can begin
to done in the past.
Exactly. We did it together with that young lad in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we got those shafts and it made a big difference.
Okay, now one last thing. I know you got to roll back to your academy, so thanks for taking the time. But okay, now that yellow line, the orange line, that's his heel to toe motion. Now the one thing that is superb about all the slides I've seen with Jim, and you have the same trace, not a lot of heel toe motion. So I mean the guy's very smooth.
Yeah, which means the ball's going to be hit on a club face. An average person that's got a lot of heel toe motion will be hitting a lot of shots on the heel and the toe.
Right, of the face, of the club. Right. Exactly. So this is important. Dramatic.
What we're trying to do is keep that heel toe nice and quiet. I think the number would be under 10 or 9.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you do that, we find out that the ball's going to hit on the center of the club face almost every time.
So constant contact.
Very constant contact, right?
Ted Sheftic with Terry Hashimoto. It's a pleasure to be with you here. Thanks so much, Ted. Okay, you got it. Thanks, Ted.
That was good.